And we are live for the 60th episode of the TRU-U podcast. Today, we are blessed to have Mr. Chris Capozolli on with us. And Chris and I have known each other for a few years from the network marketing industry and business.
Yes.
And Chris, actually from Boston, Massachusetts. He is a veteran and a nuclear weapons specialist and a entrepreneur of all sorts. I've seen this man crush it in business. And currently they're at a SHOT Show in Las Vegas for their supplementation company called RPG. They take care of first responder veterans and nurses, helping them to optimize their bodies so they can live their best life while in service and after service. With our RPG Super Coffee, they get 50% of their net proceeds back to veteran first responders and help them to create fundraisers around the products to create a sustainable give for their organizations. It's amazing, brother.
Good to see you, man. It's always good to be with you.
Yeah, dude, it's fun. We met up, I think, out in LA a year or two ago, and we've stayed in touch since the old networking days. And I just love keeping up with you guys. I mean, you guys are always just crushing it, out doing something exciting every time I talk to you. So you're in Vegas.
Same as you, right?
Yeah. You're in Vegas. Tell us about just what you're up to right now.
Yeah, so with RPG, we're always looking to support veterans, and it's just super cool being here, being invited back to the SHOT Show. So the SHOT Show is one of the largest military shows in the world, right? You can find anything from, the guys from SIG are here all the way up to tanks, right? It doesn't really matter. It's a product show for people that are veterans, military, people, outdoorsmen, to find the products, really showcasing all the newest of the new products out there, along with the standard companies like SIG and all the different ammo companies are here. It's just really cool place to be.
That's awesome. You got to have quite the experience just being able to get around and meet people too, man. I'm sure that's half the fun right there.
Wow. Absolutely. Well, it's really fun to see. We have so many veterans coming in. We've got veterans from like the Vietnam War coming in, all the way up to guys that have just gotten back, right? They just want to be around their people, be around what they love. So it's really cool.
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you for your service too. I didn't know that you were the nuclear weapons specialist, brother. Tell me about your journey. How was your journey? Just a little backstory for us from your days in the service, into impacting everybody now today with business in the service.
Yeah. Well, I loved it. I loved being in the service. I loved what we did. We were part of, when you see those TV shows where the guys are down underground and they got the keys and turning the keys, that was my job, right? My job was, I was the nuclear weapons specialist on that crew. I took care of the missile. I took care of the guidance systems. They'd fly us in helicopters, and you would think it'd be someplace really cool that happens. But they would drop us in, hour-long helicopter flight, come in, and we'd land in the middle of a farmer's field in Arkansas, right?
Oh, wow.
And there's just this big gate that's up there, and underneath there is this big giant missile site, right? So we'd go out there for 2-3 days at a time, and we were in charge. We just actually last week lost our commander. He passed, but
sorry.
I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we had our 30-year anniversary, and it was beautiful to see this guy. It was Colonel Green, and he's there just crying, and he's like, "We were the tip of the spear. We were the deterrent why we never had a nuclear war, because we were ready," right? And just to see the pride swelled up in him was just amazing.
Wow. Yeah, thank you guys all for that, man. That's got to be I've got a lot of connections to the military and have a lot of respect for what you guys do, and I can't imagine just the pressure and what that is, and the pride that comes along with standing up for your nation, man. That's peak honor right there. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's an honor for us to be able to do that, to be able to have that venue to serve. I've, since I was little, in my heart, I was always my own person, but I was always a servant, right? And I always wanted to serve. And, from a little kid, I always talked about the military. And when I turned 19, I looked at my dad, I said, "I love you, but I got to do what I got to do." And it was a great journey. It was experiences that, that you hold on to. And I have friends that are, I've known for 30 years that we're tighter than family, right? Because
Awesome.
when you're out there doing those kind of things, you just get tight, right? That's your part of that, is that family of that next guy next to you, because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's incredible. Um, Fast forward into like your impact years, like creating RPG and like giving back to these guys. Like, tell us about that rodeo, man.
Yeah, well, when you're, I know it doesn't look like I could have a 30-year anniversary, but it's true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You're 35 years old, Chris. Quit
yeah,
doing all these health things, brother.
dude, that's one of the
You
things we're trying
are.
to do. We're trying to take care of these guys because people get sick, right? I got sick. I got really hurt. I was working on a nuke, and it affected my body. I was working on a reagent bottle, and I was really sick. And being in that missile site and exposed to all the chemicals and all the things that are in those, I mean, we're underground for 2, 3 days. Um, and all those chemicals made me really sick. And then I got bit by a tick and I got really sick. And my body was shutting down. I went up to like 245 pounds. I look like a tick. I was swollen. And I just really went on a health journey for myself. And as I'm getting up there a little bit in age, right, you want to give back as well. And so we're mentoring. A lot of these guys would come back and, they get tied to a guy that's, an older veteran. When I say older, right, they're older than them. These guys are in their 20s. And, just listening to their struggles coming back. They're addicted to Monster, Red Bull, Rockstar, right, Rip Its, this kind of things, which are fine for their use, what they do. But these guys are coming back with stomach ulcers, ulcers in their throat, right? And more importantly, what we're finding out, the research shows today that when their gut microbiome is off, right? If you guys do research on gut microbiome, it's tied to everything. We actually have more uh, bacterial cells than we do human cells. So when the gut microbiome's off, they can't think. Their cognitive functions are off.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of our PTSD is coming from, right? They just can't think. They can't listen. How many times have you had brain fog and somebody's talking and it's like
Oh yeah.
you recall what 2%, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. All that chemical crap has all those side effects, and the crash, the fogginess, and then the long-term lingering effects of all of it, dude.
Right. So as we're mentoring them and hearing all those struggles, I'd like to say that the initial thought for RPG came from me, but it didn't. I was at a Tony Robbins event, and Tony's just a beast. And we were we were in business mastery. So these are all successful business people or potentially successful people that are there. And Tony wanted to raise money for one of the things that's in his heart, which is the Underground Railroad. And if you guys can support them, they do amazing work. They're all ex-military guys. They go in, they've rescued probably, I think, over 5,000 kids caught in sex trade now. They go find these kids, rescue them, and get these guys, the guys and gals, whoever's tied to that horrible industry, they get rid of them, right? They get them to where they got to go with the authorities, but they bring these kids home to their parents that thought they'd never see their parents again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible, man.
So,
I'd love to hear a little, and just like the social business aspect. Like, I know that's where we're from, that space, and then like seeing what you guys are doing and seeing what Tony's doing, like that. And I guess share a little bit about that too, because I think that this, for our listeners and a lot of them being entrepreneurs, like it's such a huge way of like just an impactful way of contributing for your business and for just firsthand giving it to people. Like, tell us about the
right.
social business journey and RPG. I got my little RPG
Yes.
here too.
Well, here's what we did. In 20 minutes in Tony's event, we raised, I think it was $897,000 in 20 minutes, just within our group, right? People they passed the hat, we raised money, which was cool. Tony said, I'll match up to 250,000. So it was over $1 million in 20 minutes. That's awesome. But is that something that's sustainable, right? People get something that's called donor fatigue, right? We know from the social business standpoint that in 2006, 2007, most of the nonprofits went out of business. There just was no funding. So tying a give to an amazing product and then allowing people to use that as a fundraiser for themselves is more like giving a hand up than a hand out. So I was sitting in this Tony event. And I said, man, this is awesome. And I just really wanted to create a company that would give back, but tie that give back so people could participate. That's why it's called, and it was funny, my wife laughs at me because I have a pad by my bed and I leave this Tony event and I'm just totally jacked, but I can't get my head wrapped around how to do it. And I jumped up in the middle of the night. I'm like, RPG for the military, real people giving, people can participate. I just start writing all this crazy stuff down. She's like, your brain never shuts off. And
Awesome too. Shout out to Kelly.
yeah, yeah, my wife is the best. She puts up with all my nonsense on the road, sometimes 20, 25 days out of the month, right?
Yeah.
If you see me on social media, I'm here, I'm there, whatever. And so that was kind of the start. And then, you know, Nathan France and his wife, Jen, right? The first phone call I make, boom, guys, I've got an amazing idea. I know you guys are huge givers. You're beasts in business, right? Everything that those guys touch just goes through the roof, right? They're just incredible. And we started formulating together, how do we create a company that has amazing products that people will love and they can participate in the give? Because there is a physiological response. They've proven this. Even if you just bought somebody a cup of coffee, it's like an 8 or 12-hour response that you're physically happier. Yeah. Right? So you having that little stick of coffee with you, you know that when you take that you help to participate in that give. We call it the ripple effect, right? So everybody gets to participate in that. And it's really cool. It's the motto of our company is the real secret to living is giving. And you were talking about like entrepreneurs. I promise you, as an entrepreneur, if you get everything you ever want, that seems cool, but there's an empty to the other side of that. Look at Tony. He never has to work another day in his life. Why is that guy go out and give? Because it feeds his soul. He's found out the real secret to living is giving. We want to, yes, you have to take care of yourself, right? You got to put your own oxygen mask on first. But there's an empty hole on the other side of that. If you're not giving back, what are we really on this earth to do? Not to just, you know, we want to be free, but we want to help others, right?
Yeah, and that it, like, I mean, is it even possible to be fulfilled without that? Like, I don't, like, when you're saying like you can take care of yourself, it's like, yeah, but isn't taking care of yourself by doing that too? Like, you gotta put your oxygen mask on, but dude, like, we're all here together, interconnected, and I know for a fact the more that I give to others or inspire others or serve others, it lifts everything that I'm doing up by default. It does that. Shit just comes in.
You're doing that with TRU-U, right?
Yeah.
Bringing people together, right? You're making that ripple effect. If there's one thing that one of your guests says that turns somebody else on, that changes the world, that's where it starts. We have to take that responsibility for it, that it starts with me, right? I've never understood when somebody says they should do something about that. I'm like, who's they? Where are they?
Yeah. Victim, right? Let the world solve all my problems. That's true owners, man.
Yeah, I don't know who they is. I love. I think it was Gandhi, right? Said, be the change you want to see, and then you'll see that change.
That's right, brother. That's incredibly powerful. And like just the fact, like the ripple effect, like when you see a ripple, it'd probably be more of a serving phrase to say the waves that are created from what it is, not a ripple, because those diminish. Like, I feel like this is picking up, but tell me about like the RPG waves. Like like how's that been through the social business?
It's been amazing to see. You know, we don't always get the end story, but we get the mid part of that, right? So like the Eagles Healing Nest up in Minnesota and seeing what's happening with them, right? Just creating that ripple effect. It might not even be the give that we gave, but somebody heard about what they're doing, right? Taking these veterans, it's an amazing, massive place that when a veteran comes there, they actually put their name on the lease so that the veterans own it and they take care of each other. They take homeless guys off the street, guys and gals. They bring them in, give them a place to live, but then it's a community, right? So we were up there hanging out, doing a big fundraiser, and they have like this big community room. So it's almost like when you're in the military, you have the common room, and they're all hanging out, making food, taking care of each other. There's this beautiful lady that brings them each a plant to give them a new mission. They have to take care of this plant. That's part of their journey. So participating in that, and then we create it so that it's a sustainable give for them. If they show the product to somebody and people buy our products, we tie that to them forever. So it's not like a one-time give. Like, it was amazing what we did with Tony. I still support Underground Railroad. But when you give them that ability to just talk about products that are making people healthy, and then they can create a sustainable give, that was my heart. Is I'm like, listen, I want this to be, when I'm gone 150 more years from now, right?
Yeah.
I want this to be it's bigger than us, right? It's getting that one person to the next person, turning people's mindsets onto sharing, giving, caring about somebody else, right?
Yeah. And then you're giving them the ability now to be able to like make money, to be able to build, and impact like directly people that they care about and they love, and then on the back end serve these communities. Like that's incredible,
right.
man.
Yeah, people tell me all the time they love knowing when they drink their coffee, they love knowing that something good's coming out of it, right?
Yeah.
That it's healthy for them. They like that it's good for them, but they like the backside that it's doing something for somebody else.
Yeah. And we'll get into like towards the end, like how they can actually find you and serve people through this. But I'm like here, I'm just like right now processing and thinking of like, man, entrepreneurs, I'm sure they would like I think that people are generally turned on or at least open to giving. It's just I think there's that fear of like, how can I possibly as an entrepreneur do this and still make ends meet and still be able to just function and build everything. Like, how would you speak to people, with their businesses or stepping into businesses as an entrepreneur to begin like transitioning into a social business? Like, yeah,
Right,
what
and it
do you?
doesn't have to be a massive change, right? Like Tony says, if you get in your head, you're dead, right? And people say, listen, when I get successful, when I have $10 million, I'll give $1 million. No, if you won't give 10 cents out of a dollar, you're
Yeah.
not going to give a million out of 10, right? And it becomes addicting that when you see the change, when you see businesses switch, right? So it can be just little baby things, even if you take your crew and go to like the food kitchen, right? Because we did that with some of my other companies, right? We'd all go down and I said, guys, today you guys are going to get paid or you can volunteer, whatever you want to do. I always paid them because I want them to be happy. But I wanted them to see the difference when you're out there making a difference, right? So we're out helping feeding people. We brought a bunch of stuff down. And it's those little baby changes that actually in your business will create that tight super community of a family. The business is tough today, right? 8 out of 10 businesses are gone in 10 years. But those tight family bonds that you create within your business and that good energy that you're putting out comes back tenfold, right? And business is tough. You get up in the morning, you're like, I got this, I got this, I get this. But if there's something bigger than you, then
Yeah.
you have that GPS that you're going towards, right? You have a bigger, I kind of goes back to the military, right? The bigger mission, the bigger goal is out there. That will drive you way more than money, than success, than any of those things. You've got to, you know, I watch people every day, and this is one of the things that I see, right? They get in their car, and what are they doing? They're plugging their GPS in because they want to get to where they're going.
Yeah.
But in their business, in their life, no GPS. They're just kind of like getting up, emails, phone calls, putting fires out. There's no GPS. There's no real end goal. And those are the things that'll get you to where you want. So when you have a bigger mission for your company, that company ecosystem, everybody's kind of going in the same direction. All the GPSs are going the same way. You're going to end up getting up more energized. You're not tired, right? You're stoked because you know all the great things that you're doing along the way. So you're setting a GPS for the business that all of the people in your business can see, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, and I think like that reveals a lot of gaps when you do that too. Like, because if you begin planning and you're strategic about it, you're gonna now realize, oh shit, this is where I got to step it up, or this is where I have an opportunity to grow. Like, no, that makes total sense. And then I'm also hearing when you spoke, like, I love that, like, start with where you're at, man. Because like that's where I've always been a big dreamer in the clouds, and I've got to come down to earth and be like, what's my current reality? Let's go with like what can I do right now in the next like 30 to 90 days? Like
Exactly.
And that's what and you know, that's a big upgrade for me. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are scared to give or scared to do these things, but that makes total sense. Like, just find out what you're passionate about and just start. Just start,
That's
man.
it. If
Yeah.
you don't have a purpose in life, if you haven't defined your purpose, and it doesn't mean, right, as a business owner, if you have a job, or let's say a potential entrepreneur, there are
Hmm.
seasons of your life. You may have a job that needs to pay the bills, right? You got to have a place to live, you got to eat food. But 1 hour, again, starting where you're at, 1 hour a day, do what you're passionate about. Then
Yeah.
you'll notice that that becomes an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? So you're actually building into that. But
Hmm.
if you've got that, if you've defined your purpose, this is what I love, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Doesn't mean
Hmm.
you can do it every day, all day, right now, but you've set that, I like to call it the GPS of where I'm going.
Nice.
Now, every day, you will do, like Nathan talks about all the time, we're not going to do anything for 5 minutes if it's not worth 5 years, right?
Mm.
Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is what I'm doing today getting me closer or further away from my purpose? Right. And as men today, and I'm talking just to the men, and I suppose some of the women too, but I really want to talk to the men today.
Hmm.
Most men today have just been beaten down. They don't have a real purpose. They just show up, do their job, go home, and they're wondering why they don't feel like men. They don't feel driven, right? As men, we are mission driven, goal driven. If you want to be the best man, the best husband, the best boyfriend, the best person, you've got to have your mission. You've got to be tied to that in some way, shape, or form every day. If
Yeah.
you do that, you will be the best man that's out there, right? You know where you're going. You're confident. I do a lot of coaching as well. I know you do too.
Yeah.
As we're coaching people, that's one of the biggest things I see, right? Even in relationships, that the guy has no mission. So he's kind of wishy-washy. He's not stepping into his male persona of, this is what I'm supposed to do, blah, blah, blah. And in a
Yeah.
relationship, then the woman has to take that over, right? So
Yeah.
that drives into business. It drives into every part of your life.
What I'm hearing is like people are skipping to the do before the be. Like, how do I have to be grounded, and what do I, like what, when you're, and I think we're going to call this thing tied to your mission, because like that, like start with your why. It's like Simon says, start with why and know who you got to be to do that. And then figure out
Exactly.
and then set the GPS up. No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, I want to hear about some of your, like, just because I know you guys have worked with like the Chris Kyle Foundation, right? There's been some awesome, like, tell me about just some of the stories, man. Like, what, like, being out here serving these guys, like, what are some of your favorite takeaways from just being out here and just running around 25 out of 30 days serving?
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, we're supporting like Tony Robbins' company, OsteoStrong, and they love the veteran give. So just building around that ecosystem, just amazing being able to show up and just amazing people. The Red Sox Foundation, called Home Base, right? We went and did No Shave November with them, right? We raised a bunch of money with them, right? Gave a bunch of products. And then they called up and said, hey, listen, we've got guys overseas. They're really kind of in a remote area. They can't get good coffee, they can't get this, they can't get that. So we put like 8,000 packages together to send out for those guys, right? Um, and just being able to get those packages out to them, knowing that they're able to just feel a little bit of home, right? When you're out there, just a good cup of coffee, something to tie you back and keep your brain in the game.
Yeah.
We've done a bunch of golf, what do you call it? Golf tournaments with like Chris Kyle Frog Foundation. His wife Taya is just amazing. They're all about taking, like, a veteran comes back, taking the husband and wife for the weekend to just be them again, right? Somebody watches the kids, they go have them time along with the group so they can talk about the struggles of just plugging back in. And again, that ties back to, they come back, they were in high stress, high mission mode. They come
Yeah.
back to real life, and now what, right? Nothing. They're seeing people get upset about, their coffee's not right or whatever else, and they're thinking, man, I didn't have coffee for 8 months that was palatable, right? They be appreciative. So I love all of those foundations that are just helping these veterans get back into their normal life to live together. So it's been beautiful.
That's awesome. And I'm like, just as you're speaking and just appreciating, like seeing how far and wide you guys are. Like you guys, I'm sure it comes from, your networking backgrounds, but like, dude, I think like just something with that mission that you're tied to, that you're talking about, when you're in that and you got the B part down, all of these like start coming up. Like you begin seeing things, like next steps begin becoming more and more clear. Like I know Nate was out like jumping on the back of the truck at Rockfest, and you guys are, doing all this overseas serving. Chris Frog, you're Chris Kyle, you're in Vegas, you're all over, dude. I love it. Like how, like the networking, or like, is there anything to speak on there? And maybe not, but I just feel like there's probably some gold somewhere, like how your path has just unfolded from the mission that you guys have set out. Like, tell me a little bit about like just how that, like how you see that through, and what the journey's like, and networking and all that.
Yeah, and the easiest part of networking, again, I'm going to give a lot of credit to Tony, right? The Tony Robbins training of add massive value first, right? Okay. So going out, before we made money, we were given money. Before we, you know what I mean? We went out and added that massive value. Before we did this all with no funding, we did it all internal, and being able to do the give before we even made. But we added massive value because that's where our heart was at. That comes back because people are like, man, these guys are incredible. They showed up here. We showed up. That's what most people don't do. They talk, but they don't show up. And Tony talks about his priming. I love that priming. Every day I do it. Have you ever done the Tony Robbins priming?
Is that it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Dude, the first time
you were rocking it out.
The first time you do it, you feel silly. But
yeah,
think about this for a minute. And every business entrepreneur, every human should really do this.
Yeah.
So imagine starting your day. Number one, that part of that pumping of the arms is just changing your physiology, changing your state. Yeah. Right? So if you can change your state, then what does he do? He has you go into a gratitude, right? Thinking about the things that you're grateful for today. Then he has you think about the 3 to thrive, the things that you want to accomplish in the next 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, and stepping into that so you already see it. So it's driving it into your soul. Now we're going to go into just helping to put that out to the people that you love. You can't be angry, upset, or anxious if you're full of gratitude. So if you start your day fully great, and it might just be appreciation that, I have clean water today to drink, right? There's I don't care.
If people say they don't have anything, they're full of shit. Just look harder, man. There's always something to be grateful for. I love that. It strips away all the other shit that we're anxious about.
Yeah. You can't be upset when you're gracious. On Netflix, there was a show called Happy, right? Happiness or whatever it was. And there was a guy in India that was a rickshaw driver. And it was raining that day. And he said, people complain about the rain, but at least my feet aren't burning when it's raining. And he said, I want you to see my beautiful family, my beautiful house. And you go, and he was just so happy. He was like the happiest guy you ever met. You go to his house and the whole family lives here. Yeah, it's a 10 by 10 pieces of metal and tarps hanging. He goes, look, my whole family lives here. We have beautiful fresh air, right? No walls.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And you sit there, right? In the US, we forget that most of the world lives on about $1 a day. So on our worst day ever, we're still living better than most people. So if you can start with that minimum, whatever that little gratitude is, you get up, challenges are going to come in business. Challenges are going to come with people. But if you're in that gratitude state, Tony calls it living in a beautiful state every day, you handle those things differently. It's like water on a duck's back, man. Like, boom, take care of, boom. And you see your mission is so much easier because you're focused. You get what you focus on, right? So you're focused on what you need. This problem comes up, solve it. That problem comes up, solve it. But you're always focusing as an entrepreneur. If you're not focusing on growing, if you're not focusing on serving, adding massive value, That's where you are. You never have to worry about networking. I'm not chasing people down. What happens is you're helping this person, you're adding massive value, they're doing it for you, right?
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, you need to go talk to Nate. You need to talk to Jen. You need to talk to Chris. That I think that you guys would work really well together. And that's the secret to business. Massive value first. Then you get raving fans. The raving fans talk about it. You're not going to spend money on advertising and all the crazy things that people do that sometimes work, sometimes don't. The greatest advertising you can do is, number one, do a great job, add massive value, and be honest and true, right?
That's awesome. Couple things I want to grab from that is the priming. So where can people find, because that just it's like a formula Tony created that just seems like it just hits. Like, is there a spot that they can go to check that out?
Yeah, the easiest. He's got it on YouTube. Tony has his own YouTube channel, and it's called I think it's daily 15-minute priming. I
Okay.
think it says start your day this way every day, but I'm telling you, man, that priming, and in that priming, it's things that you want to happen as well, right? So you're kind of like putting it out there. And one of them was I wanted to partner up with Tony Robbins, right? In some way, shape, or form. And at a Tony event, right, there's been tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions probably now at this point that have gone through there. And I met one of his companies, OsteoStrong. We partnered up. We're serving that OsteoStrong community in a huge way right now with all the things that we do. And we love them. I love that modality. I was standing there staring at what they're doing, and they're serving people. And now we're partnered with all of their franchises, right? So in a side about way, we are partnered with Tony Robbins, right? It's one of his companies.
You put that out in the universe, man. You told me that story.
Yes.
I love hearing that. Like, you're like, this is my calling. I'm going to get it. It's really interesting when you just put that energy in that, like, when you're in a beautiful state, right? And then you have that mission that's dragging you. And then you're like, you put that out to the universe, man. It just like, it happens. You met Tony, like, right? You've had the opportunity. I want to hear about, like, because I know you told me a little. You're probably staring at the guy like he's a freaking giant. This guy is huge, man. But beyond that, he's a huge influence beyond that too. So I'd love to hear a little taste of that whole story there.
Here's one of the things that really solidified my love for Tony and for Sage and the things that they do. So through OsteoStrong, right, through a side connection, I ended up having to go serve. He has things called the Platinums, right, where people have big events, and I was invited to go work on some of the OsteoStrong equipment, and I got to go to his house, right? He's got a beautiful house, and he had all the people come. And here's one of the most beautiful stories about Tony is, he's got 300 people coming to his house. There's people setting up, looks like circus tents in the yard, and just trying to get all this stuff because he wants to serve, right, man? He's the servant. He wants to take care of these platinum members. And all these things are going on, and he and his people are coming in, and everybody's telling him, well, we've got to get this. And he says, hold on a minute. He goes, you guys go upstairs. The guys have been here all day, getting this stuff squared away. I just want to go say hi, right? All these things going on. He's worried about us. So he came in. He's like, do you guys need some water? Do you need anything? Can I take care of you? I said, no, we're good. He said, awesome. Comes in, right? And just a big hug, right? I'm like hugging him. My face is in like his belly button, right? He's just a massive dude. And but that was one of my greatest gifts was he is exactly who he is at home. And I've been to his house many times now for events like that, right? It wasn't I was hanging out with Tony. But every time I've seen him off stage, he's exactly the same as he is on stage. That is a rare quality for a person to be the same on and off, right? And it drove my heart to say, yes, this guy is the real deal, right? He is, not that I didn't know that, but it's just great to see his heart is to serve, right? Here he is, right? Gazillionaire, whatever he's doing, right? Millions of people love him. People come into his house. He's like, let me get you guys some water. If you need anything, just let me know.
Yeah.
Real human being.
You and Kelly, I think you guys have been to a few of the UPWs. Have you been to like Date with Destiny or any of those experiences too? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been through OsteoStrong. I've been able to go to like 30 different events.
Wow.
Just over and over. So it's driven it into my soul. I signed up for Business Mastery, Life Wealth Mastery this year. COVID kind of screwed it up, but I'm going to Fiji to go to his place in Fiji because I just really want to immerse into that and, you know, that part of it. I know you went too. Tell me your experience. So what did you think?
The UPW was amazing, man. I mean, it just like I think you know, when you were mentioning the state, I was thinking of Joseph McClellan doing the dance up on stage and saying like you can snap your state like this, and just starts moving his whole body around, and like you can immediately like it's kind of like the Grateful like priming, but in a way to snap into like a pause, like a high frequency action mode. Like you can do that by physically, you know, moving and shaking your ass to get
Yes.
your mind to follow. Like I remember that vividly. I remember there was a ton of takeaways. There were some relationships that came out of it that were powerful. There was just a ton of people in the room. The fire walk, it was amazing. I really want to do Date with Destiny. I haven't done that yet. But for anybody listening, like, yeah, I haven't experienced Mastery or Date with Destiny, but people like Chris and people I know like that have had amazing things to say about it. Like UPW, I think is like a grand or maybe a little around that. But dude, for what you're putting into it, you're getting so much out of it, and like he
Doesn't
does
matter.
like he just had like he is so committed, dude. Like this guy, I think he had some throat thing going on at the time too, and he still just like he does all these like all these remedies and these things to serve like his body too to get through this. But he is just peak moving and going all the time. It's just incredible,
Yeah.
man.
It's a learning rock concert. So I've walked the fire, right? I've walked the fire like 4 times now, and they
Yeah.
put a temperature sensor on it this time, and it was 2,600 degrees. And if you guys get, it's hard to believe, but he actually teaches you mind over matter, right? That you can literally walk across 2,600 degrees, and it's no joke. This is not a freaking parlor trick, right? This is 20.
Yeah.
They're literally been burning all day. They've been burning all day these huge cauldrons, and they just shovel these red hot coals. But the cool part is you walk across it, and I got burned this time, and I'll tell you, it was a funny way that it happened. So I walked across the fire, didn't feel anything. I was in state. He calls it being in state.
Yeah.
And I got to the other side, and there was a big coal stuck between my toes, and they kind of like yeah, they spray your feet, and there's like grass on the other side, and you wipe your feet on the grass to get the coals off. And there was one stuck between my toes, and
Oh,
she sprayed it, and it didn't quite get on there. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. They have me celebrate, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, oh. I reached out. I'm like, I flicked the thing out. So I got these like blisters. I call them my battle scar between my toes. But
there you
it
go.
but it proved the truth that this was no joke. I mean, this was hot. I got through the other side, and when I came out of that mental state, it was just incredible. But I've sent so many people to Tony events now, and I'm telling you, it's amazing to see their lives change, right? They'll go home, they fix their relationships, right? Personally, myself living in that beautiful state, relationships are better because I understand, right? There's 6 human needs. That's what Tony talks about. And when you're dealing with people, you have to think, what's their 6 human needs? If their first need is significance, then you've got to kind of talk to them in that way, right? If their first human need is giving, then they might be just giving so much that they're not even taking care of themselves. So as you're coaching and helping people, you need to understand their human needs. And in business, it's the same way, right? You've got to understand the person you're talking to. You got to kind of do a quick analysis and say, what's their first human need, and how do I serve that in the right way in business?
Yeah. No, this is all really juicy stuff, brother. Let's land the plane to this bad boy. I know you're at the shot show, and you got, I'm sure, some other
Yes.
action around you. So first, I want to hear, you know, just like where can we? And I know we can probably follow you around the world if we want to, but where can we find RPG? You know, and in your social media, what are you also up to? Where can we find you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, heck yeah. So, yeah, like you said, we're at the SHOT Show here. It's been amazing. On social media, it's realpeoplegiving.com. And we'll send you some links for that. So if you go to realpeoplegiving.com I'm now under the Limitless Human. I'm on TikTok, believe it or not. I don't know how that even is true, but right? I'm like, you need a TikTok, but we wanted it to be a little different than RPG. So it's the Limitless Human. We talk about a lot of the RPG stuff. And then, on Facebook, Twitter, it's real people at realpeoplegiving.com.
Okay.
And if people go to realpeoplegiving.com, that's where they can find our products, right? We've just had so many people appreciative here. If you start with the coffee, we took a picture today. There was like 60 people in line at Starbucks, right,
Yeah.
to get an $8 coffee that's going to bother their gut all day.
Yeah.
Just crazy. So we built these little immunity packs
Yeah.
to make it easy for people. Yeah, and then we've got so many things. And again, guys, with RPG, what we're trying to do, especially with like our first responders, our veterans, our and police officers, things like that, guys, when they retire, it's 2 to 5 years is the average lifespan of these people because they've given everything and they don't take care of themselves, right? So one of our goals is to take care of them, but we want that for everybody. That's why we kind of put the Limitless Human together as well. For the person that's listening today, if you don't take care of this temple, if you don't take care of your body, you don't feed the body what it needs, you're never going to really be successful in business. You're not going to be successful in life. You'll always have some limitations, whether it's energy or pain or the limiting things. So that's where we designed all of the RPG products, was to remove the limitations, right? If I can modulate your immune system, fix your gut health, those kind of things, that's our goal. And the beautiful part is we get those phone calls all the time, right? Thank you for saving my wife, for saving my life. Now I can play with my grandkids. Man, I'm a beast in business. I no longer have the brain fog. So that's the stories that drive us every day to create new products and to create good products, right? So we can take care of people.
The giving on the health side and on the giving back side. That's awesome.
We get way more back from those stories, I promise you, than people keep thanking us. I'm like, nah, thank you, man. You're driving my soul. You're making me want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and work till midnight.
The more you give, the more you get. I think that's a Nathan line too. The secret to living is giving, right? That's
the real secret to living.
Drilled that one in me. Yeah. Well, let's so thank you. First off, this has been incredible. Thanks for taking time at the SHOT Show, brother.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure chatting with you. You always inspire me. Never any doubt in that I'm going to get some inspiration out of you. So we always end it with just a general message, whatever's speaking to you, whatever you want to leave the TRU-U audience with. So you have the floor. No pressure, brother.
Well, number one, thank you for doing what you do, right? Bringing people together, different, mindsets so people can serve each other is awesome. And honestly, if I could tell people one thing, it would be find that love in your life, find that mission that drives you. And every day, in some way, shape, or form, you've got to focus on that mission because there's no reason to run through life without a GPS. Figure out where you want to go, get that end in your mind, and then back into that. And every day, drive a little piece to that, and life will never be the same again.
You heard it here, folks. Mr. Chris Capozolli, thank you so much, brother. That's amazing. You've been amazing. Next time,
always good to talk to you, man.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go out and catch up next time you're in town. You gotta let me know. So
I love that. Thank you, brother.